What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jordan and today we're going to be changing the spark plugs on the Porsche 981. So let's get into it. So to change the spark plug on a car, it's usually a pretty easy job. But on the Porsche we're working on a lot of really tight spaces. So I have some tools that I think are going to help out. I have this one, which is a really cool ratcheting set. And it's just a couple inches long, and I think this is going to work great for getting in some of the tight spaces. But then to get the spark plugs out of the car, you're going to need a wrench, multiple extensions, probably more than this, a flex extension, as well as a 5/8 spark plug socket. So once you have those things, you basically have the essentials for doing the spark plugs. It's always recommended to use a teeny bit of anti-seize on the spark plugs. But what's cool about the spark plugs, which I got on suncoastporsche.com, they come pre-gapped, and these are actually really interesting looking. They don't look like your typical classic car spark plug. So now that we got everything that we need, hopefully, let's go ahead and get under the car. So we're right here by the brake, and then we have the catalytic converter. Be careful when you're working here. This tends to be really sharp, so you might want to put some tape on that or a cloth or something. But in this tight space, we have our 3 ignition coils. We have the first one, which is right here. Second one is there. And then the third one and the furthest one is right there. And taking these out is really easy. You just have the 1 T25 screw, undo the screw, and then there's an electrical connection right here. Take that electrical connection, there's a little clip, and then you push it upward. And then once that's disconnected and the screw's off, you just take that and pop it out. And then the spark plugs are there in the middle. So it's really a simple job, tight spaces, be careful, take your time. And from what I understand, the driver's side is much tighter than the passenger side. So once you do this side and you get this, then you are good to go.
A few moments later.
This first one, the hardest one, definitely is super challenging. And I found that the best way to do it is to use a wrench underneath the suspension arms, in between the suspension arm and the catalytic converter. Then get a extension, just a straight extension, because when you're trying to undo this with all the kinked attachments, you really can't get a lot of good pressure on there. So put a wrench in between the suspension and the cat with a short extension, and I was able to get this one undone. And then following that, the electrical connector was pretty easy. I just used a little screwdriver, put it in the clip, and then just remove the connector with my hand. All right, there we go. One out. And here it is, the first spark plug. So it only took me about 1 hour to get this one out, but I'm gonna show you guys what I did and the extensions I used. That way it might help you out. So when you're first starting, you want to use a 6-inch extension right here in the hole with the 5/8 spark plug socket at the end of it. Get that in there, and then once that's in there and attached to the spark plug, then you're gonna use another 6-inch extension with your swivel attachment. Click it onto there, click it onto the one you already have in there, and then start loosening. Because you really have to get deep in the engine to get the spark plug. You can't fit it all in there, just like the way it is. So it's kind of like a 2-step process, but it worked pretty good for me, and hopefully it works good for you. So I think the other ones are going to be a piece of cake compared to this really, really deep one. So let's start making some progress here. So we got this new spark plug, which I am excited to get this in here and get one of them done. And then I have some anti-seize here. I'm gonna put it on the threads, and I'm just gonna put a very little bit. This actually isn't suggested in the service manual, but this car is getting older now, and you know, it's always good to have a little bit of preventative measures on there, especially for the next owner, you know. All right, that's it. Just a dab, just a little bit. I'm actually gonna wipe that off a little bit. So just a little bit. It's gonna be plenty to coat all of the threads and get it in there nice and good. Once you get your spark plug put on your socket, go ahead and put it in there, and then just do it hand tight. I'm just gonna do this by hand, spin it to get rid of, you know, most of the travel of the threads, and it should go in there really easily. And then it's gonna be hard to get an accurate torque spec with all these extensions and everything, but The spec is 24 foot-pounds, and then with the anti-seize on there, you actually want to reduce that to about 20 foot-pounds. Or you can go to snug and then another 45 degrees. So you really don't have to think about it too much. Just make sure it's in there. Don't crank it down real hard, and it should be good to go. So here I'm on the second one, and it is substantially easier to get to and do things from. So I'm about 10 minutes into the second one and really moving a lot faster this time. Boom, and just like that, all three of this side are done. I'm gonna go around to the other side and just show you guys how much easier it is on the passenger side. Off camera, I'm gonna put this all away, and then we'll go over and check out this side. Moving in on the passenger side, and everything is so much more accessible. I mean, it's probably about 25% easier to get to everything. So if you can master the driver's side, then you're good to go for the passenger side. All right, so final thoughts. I'm gonna finish this off camera just because it's the same steps over and over and over. Don't have to tell you again. But final thoughts on the project. Is it DIY-able? Yes. Will you get dirty? Yes. But you know, it's not that difficult if you have small hands or if you have some patience. But really what you're gonna need is you're gonna need 2 6-inch extensions, 2 3-inch extensions, a 5/8 socket for the spark plugs, and a T30 Torx bits. Earlier I said 25, it's T30. So, yeah. I hope this tutorial helped you out, or at least gave you a little perspective on whether you can do the project yourself or not. If it did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you want to stick around, subscribe. So I'll catch you guys later, and we'll get this thing running in tip-top shape. See ya.